Philip, Jordan Tzu Chi volunteers organized rice distribution, helping a total of 1,200 families. We meet former convict Li Chengchan, who runs an art studio to help victims of crimes cope with their trauma. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Now. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi volunteers in Jordan continue to distribute rice to help the poor and needy. Recently, volunteers carried out 2 series of rice distributions in Jordan Valley, helping a total of 1,200 families with 24 tons of rice. Filled with gratitude for all the assistance they received, many local residents humbly bowed to the volunteers to show their appreciation.
South of the Dead Sea is Jordan Valley, and today Tzu Chi volunteers are here to carry out rice distributions. At the Agarwal Center for the Disabled, bags of rice from Taiwan are being handed out to impoverished residents. Last year, volunteers prepared enough food and rice for just 400 families, only to find out that there were 1,200 per households. Hence this year, Tzu Chi volunteers readied 24 tons of rice to make sure all households will have sufficient food to carry them through the winter months.
On behalf of all the local residents, I would like to extend my thanks to Tzu Chi, as you have helped so many people here today. I hope this affinity won't just end here, and that you will continue to provide assistance to this area.
I'm very happy with the Tzu Chi Foundation and the volunteers, as well as the respectful manner in which the rice was handed out. It was a pleasure to work with you to bring happiness to others. I hope there will be more opportunities like this in the future.
Looking closely, one can easily spot the presence of flies everywhere. Despite the harsh environment, however, residents show no signs of grievance, but instead are filled with gratitude for the 2 bags of rice and the lollipop they received. Even the children took after the volunteers and bowed to show gratitude for the help they have received.
Single parent Ricky Garcia of Malolos, Philippines, has lived with a tumor on his neck for the past 15 years. Struggling to make ends meet, Ricky did not have the money to pay for the removal surgery. Thankfully, with the assistance of the Tzu Chi Foundation, earlier in August, the father had his tumor removed. Now, 3 months later, Tzu Chi volunteers have paid him a follow-up visit.
Here in Malolos, Philippines, lives single parent Ricky Garcia, struggling to make ends meet.
Even with my thyroid tumor, I must work because I make too little as it is. I can't take any days off.
The tumor on his neck has stayed with him for the past 15 years, but as he needs to provide for his 2 children, Ricky has not the means to pay for surgery until now.
Tzu Chi volunteers are here to take my son to have his surgery.
In August of this year, Tzu Chi volunteers helped pay for the surgery to remove the tumor. Revisiting Ricky 3 months later, one hardly notices the scar on his neck due to the big smile on Ricky's face.
Thank you, volunteers, for helping those who need assistance in life.
Now that his wish has come true, he says he wants to work overseas to make more money. I think that won't be a problem once he recovers fully.
Taking a step towards a brighter future, this responsible father is getting a job overseas to make sure his children will have a better opportunity to leave poverty behind.
Prior to hosting various seminars at the Tzu Chi dumping office in Malaysia, local volunteers have gathered together to give their spiritual home a thorough cleaning. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, as the construction of the Jilong Jingsi Hall finally entered its last phase, local volunteers have been mobilized to speed up the pace. Next, we meet Tzu Chi volunteer Gao Jianhua, who put aside his job to work at the construction site of the soon-to-be-established Jingsi Hall. Working at the construction site of the Jilong Jingsi home is Gao Jianhua, who is also a Tzu Chi volunteer. Whether on duty or off duty, Gao sees every chance to give.
Gao treats this place as his workplace and his cultivation ground. He has been the first to arrive at the construction site every morning for the past 2 years. He is always on standby for whatever is needed. When the construction site was flooded due to a typhoon, he quickly rushed here to help.
To seize every moment to carry out Tzu Chi's mission, Gao decided to start a new career path.
Gao started off doing odd jobs here. He didn't mind doing the tasks we gave him.
Every day, kitchen volunteers prepare a delicious lunch for us. So I always stay behind after work to clean up the garbage left behind after the meal. Since I don't have much time to join other Tzu Chi missions, this is a good way for me to contribute.
Gao Jianhua's humble gestures and selfless dedication have deeply touched the hearts of his colleagues.
He is very friendly and a team player. He doesn't get bent out of shape by the things going on at the work site. I think it is because he is a Tzu Chi volunteer.
After 3 years, the Jilong Jingsi Hall is finally entering its last phase of construction. Volunteers hope the new Jingsi Hall can serve as a sanctuary where community members can come to cleanse their hearts. Meanwhile, in Tanbing, Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers of the local office have come together to give their cultivation ground a thorough cleaning. To make sure senior volunteers stay safe while cleaning, younger volunteers decided to shoulder the responsibility of cleaning the ceilings, windows, and curtains. As the Tzu Chi Tanbing office will be hosting various seminars in the near future, volunteers young and old have come together to contribute their time and strength.
All of us consider the Tzu Chi office as our home, so we want to make sure it is clean and tidy.
I hope that everyone who comes here can feel the warmth of family, just as if we are back at the Jingse boat in Hualien, Taiwan.
Thanks to collaborative efforts of volunteers, the Tzu Chi Tanbing office will soon be ready to open its doors to the public. In celebration of 25 years of Tzu Chi in the United States, renowned music producer Li Chengchan is leading the a cappella group Vox on a musical tour around the country, with the latest stop being on the West Coast. Li and his group recently visited the Tzu Chi Northern California Liaison Office, where they share some of the behind-the-scenes stories of their musical journey.
The song describing Tzu Chi's medical mission in Hualien is familiar to many Tzu Chi volunteers, but few know the story behind the lyrics.
The first time Master Zhen Yan saw the lyrics, she immediately said that the twice-a-week free clinic that she spent 15 years working on was perfectly summed up in that one line.
Taking a break from the whirlwind musical tour around the world, Li Chengchan and the a cappella group Vox stopped by the Tzu Chi Northern California Liaison Office for a visit.
When there's a good story, you need to find a way to express that story through lyrics, and to fit that story within the score. That's how to tell a beautiful story.
I think behind every song there is a moving message. So whenever Tzu Chi volunteers sing those songs, it is especially touching for the audience.
As some of the members from Vox were not feeling well, besides filling their stomachs with a nutritious meal, volunteers had a Chinese medicine doctor give the team a checkup before their upcoming performance.
Unlike most countries, Taiwan's roadways are filled with motorcycles. Since a motorcycle has a very low cost of ownership and parking is never really a problem, especially in the city, it is the preferred mode of transportation by most people. Unfortunately, a lot of time, motorcyclists zigzag through traffic, angering other road users and leading to accidents. In today's report, we investigate the dangers of riding a motorcycle.
A scratched up front wheel, a ripped exhaust pipe. These photos were taken from the site of a motorcycle crash on Yangde Boulevard in Taipei. Unfortunately, the rider, a student at the Chinese Culture University, did not make it.
The force of the impact was so big that it knocked the cover of the street lamp down immediately. So you can tell that he was traveling at a very high speed.
Back at the site of the accident, the marks left on the concrete guardrails still remain, a mockery of the neighboring speed limit sign. According to the city's Traffic Police Division, between January 2011 and September of 2014, there were already some 500 motorcycle accidents, with 9 deaths alone on Yangde Boulevard.
A lot of commuters ride motorcycles up and down Yongde Boulevard every day. Due to the narrow roadway, cars and motorcycles often fight for room to maneuver on this winding path, leading to speeding and accidents.
山路啊，你会不会觉得比较危险？
还蛮危险的。
那你还是会骑机车上学吗？
对啊，就小心一点吧。
为什么你会骑机车来学校上学？
因为比较快啊。
搭公车的话，你会愿意吗？
有车的话，我当然不愿意啊。
In Taiwan, teenagers typically get their motorcycle license after graduating from high school. If they end up in a good college, they will be rewarded with a new motorcycle. It may not be from their parents, but from their uncles and aunts.
The motorcycle has become a coming-of-age present in Taiwan. 22-year-old Joe has his present since his first day in college. Whether it is going to school, work, or outings, Joe relies on his bike. As his school is 10 kilometers away from his home, a motorcycle is the most suitable form of transportation for him.
There's a sense of freedom and liberation. A bicycle is too slow, a car is costly, not to mention the complication of parking and other problems.
Due to the convenience and low cost of ownership, Joe rides his bike everywhere he goes and enjoys every mile.
I discover a lot of shortcuts while riding my bike, but if I take public transportation, I just fall asleep.
Exploring freely riding on 2 wheels accompanied by the breeze can be quite romantic, but the fact is, many of Taiwan's youth die riding on their bike every year. A study conducted by expert traffic accident investigator Professor Wu Zhongshou shows that for 4 straight years, freshmen have the highest mortality rate among bike-related deaths in college students.
It was quite evident that most of the deaths occurred in college freshman males.
Is this phenomenon due to the dangers of our roadways, or does it lie in the hands of the vehicle operator? Another study also shows compelling results.
The mortality rate in an 18 to 19-year-old age group alone is about 6.6% of total motorcycle-related deaths.
Research conducted by the government shows that motorcyclists between 18 and 19 years old are most at risk, and thus there are now colleges that forbid their freshmen from riding a motorbike to school.
According to government statistics, last year Taiwan recorded 1,928 traffic-related deaths. This number reflects the often chaotic nature of Taiwan streets, as motorcycles are the smallest vehicle on the road and the most fragile. The riders, more than anyone, should be aware of the dangers of a vehicle's blind spot and be careful not to drive in a way that prevents drivers around them from seeing them. We now ask how easy it is to inadvertently enter a vehicle's blind spot. Let's find out more in our next report.
Motorcycles are a ubiquitous sight in Taiwan as they maneuver among the cars and buses that they share the crowded roads with.
你觉得机车要骑在哪一个位置是最安全的？ 右边
后方吧。
故意命中。
Whether you're riding a motorcycle or walking, don't stay to the left or right of any large vehicle.
像大型
You need to stay at least 2 meters behind any large vehicles. Never drive abreast with them. For smaller vehicles, you should stay to the right and back of the vehicle.
那你觉得如果骑在它的旁边的话，它会看得到你？
看得到哦，看得到哦，应该还是可以吧。
它有死角。
Obviously, there is no clear consensus of where it is safe to drive one's motorcycle. What if we look at it from the viewpoint of a car motorist instead?
现在画面上看到的应该是汽车。
Right now, you are looking at the left side mirror of the car. I should not be in its reflection, but the truth is, I am getting closer to the car. Even when I am this close, I still do not show up on the mirror. Replicating what a driver sees behind him from different angles, the results are the same. Even if the motorcyclist is off to the side of the vehicle, ahead of him at a distance closer than 100 meters, he may still fall into the blind spot. In different types of vehicles, the area of the blind spot also varies, thus it is impossible to give an exact range. All you can do is know that the area to the rear right or rear left of a vehicle can all be possible blind spots.
你如果换个角色，叫这摩托车人去坐在汽车。
If you ask the motorcyclist to instead sit in a car and take a look at where his motorcycle is, he will realize that the driver of the car can't see him, and will understand that he has to be more careful and avoid potential blind spots. By exchanging positions like this, we can put ourselves in each other's position and learn to forgive the actions of other drivers on the road. Motorcycles are our worst enemies, because they're always swerving in and out of traffic, and we have to watch out for them constantly.
A bus driver for over 20 years, Mr. Chen has seen how motorcyclists often stray into buses' blind spots, and from there, how accidents can happen without warning.
现在我所在的位置是在工厂。
Where I am standing now, the bus driver simply can't see me. This is the driver's blind spot. But by installing wide-angle cameras, the driver can see all 4 sides of the bus.
I see everywhere, in front, in back, and to the both sides. When reversing or parking, I can see everything.
小车的死角，机车。
The size of the blind spots for motorcycles, cars, and trucks are all different. So if you want a rule that applies to them all equally, that will be difficult.
Currently, countries in the EU now require cars to have installed a lane departure warning system. However, blind spot monitoring has yet to be included in the required system. Although governments everywhere are using IT systems to help with traffic safety, however, there is no better substitute than knowing how to protect yourself while in traffic.
Due to the academic pressure he faced as a teenager, Li Chengchan of Taiwan began to skip school and hang out with the wrong crowd, which eventually led to him to spending 12 years in prison. But while in prison, Li was able to eventually discover his talent and calling. He now runs an art studio in Taichung and helps victims of crimes and their families learn to cope with their trauma through drawing.
This is the essence of our work over this past year.
The Sunshine Studio is exhibiting the work by its members.
They all have obstacles to overcome inside. Once they do, they can recover quicker.
The class is made up of crime victims and their family members. 20-year-old Jiang Jing was seriously injured back in high school after being struck by a drunk driver.
They need assistance in many forms, including emotional support.
The instructor has boundless love and endless patience, so I thought I might as well participate too.
Because of his son's injuries, for the past 3 years, Luo had a hard time letting go until she took the class.
If you don't learn to forgive, you can't move on.
Li Chengchan is healing hearts with art because he himself was once saved by art.
I once led a pathetic and colorless life. It wasn't until I encountered a group of art teachers who started an art class in the Taichung prison that my life changed for the better.
The once hot-blooded rebel paid for his ignorance by serving 12 years in prison. When he decided to become an artist, he was ridiculed by his fellow inmates.
Everyone told me that it was impossible and that I better stop dreaming or I'd end up a beggar. At the time, I thought to myself, why do they have to make fun of my dream?
Li became ever more determined to pursue his dream. While in prison, he completed his first masterpiece, a portrait of his mother.
What motivated me to complete this was the thought of my mother. It's filled with my thoughts for her and the pain I felt inside.
Li's mom was moved to tears when she saw his work, for she knew he had changed.
I was really surprised because he was such a rebellious youth who just wanted money from us all the time. There was just no way he could have done something like this. He had turned around completely.
While in prison, Li came to realize drawings is what he wanted to do. After serving his sentence, he began drawing images of the Buddha, which took him to another level.
As you draw, you will begin to take in the spirit of the subject of your drawing, and eventually the evil within you will disappear.
Overcoming his inner demons, Li has come to start a new life from the heart. He started the Sunshine Studio because he wants everyone who draws here to see the light.
Those who received help will reciprocate and help others. That is only natural. How people treat one another depends on how we treat them now.
While still in middle school, Zhou Jiaqi started suffering from macular degenerations in her eyes, with the disease eventually severely limiting the scope of her vision. However, over the past 17 years, Jiaqi has not given up on herself or her education. For her efforts, she was awarded this year's Golden Eagle Award.
Looking at Zhou Jiaqi, it is hard to believe this young woman suffers from extreme blurriness in both eyes.
The things that I see, I don't see them in their entirety. But since I saw them complete when younger, I can still guess their shape.
The way that Jiaqi sees the world is blurry in the center and clear at the periphery. Thus, she has to use her memory to help her reconstruct the world. Although her vision started to leave her when she was just 14, Jiaqi still went on to study in a vocational school in Taipei.
Walking around outside, I'm usually okay. I just have to walk slower, but I have tripped several times.
For Zhou Jiaqi, falling down means just getting up again. What remains important is to hold a positive attitude throughout.
I fall under the category of visually impaired. However, seeing less means less temptation, and that might be the reason that I feel my heart to be peaceful. I can't see other people's expressions or emotions. When speaking with friends, I can't see their face, so I tell them if they are angry, I won't be able to tell. As I don't need to pay attention to so many things, my heart is more quiet.
Now 30, Zhou Jiaqi currently has worked as a masseuse for the past 5 years. For her determination and her work with other visually impaired, Zhou was chosen as the recipient of this year's Golden Eagle Award. For Zhou, the award represents her belief that with hope, one can conquer all.
We go to Taiwan's Kaohsiung at the end of the show, where the Tzu Chi Gangshan Recycling Education Center celebrated its 2nd anniversary. Thanks to recycling volunteers' dedication over the past 2 years, this once abandoned school has been transformed into a place where the public learn to protect our planet. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.